Hey guys, today's video is going to be about validation and acceptance. Okay, validation and acceptance. Now, what do I mean by validation and acceptance? So another word for this is approval / love. Okay, so all of these, they're generally in the same ballpark. Love is kind of like the big one that encapsulates all of these. So why are these things so important? When it comes to relationships and meeting a partner, something we look for that makes us feel invincible, on top of the world, invincible, on top of the world, incredible. It feels like, heroin in our vein. I've never done that, but I can only imagine. It feels fucking amazing to receive validation, acceptance, and approval. This feels like a drug, right? We all seek validation, acceptance, and approval in relationships. These feel amazing. When we receive these from someone else, it allows us to be free and not constrained. When we receive the opposite is disapproval or rejection. So I'm just going to write rejection / judgment. This feels bad, if someone yells at you, there's so many words for this. I can't think of more right now, but this feels bad. This feels good. This is like humiliation, rejection. If someone, just any sort of disapproval. So just any sort of disapproval. This hurts. All right, this hurts. This feels fucking amazing. So this is what we as humans, both male and female, look for. We look for this. We look for love and acceptance. And we don't like this, right? So now, how do we receive this? Okay, so this is what we're all looking for in a relationship. And the more we feel this way towards ourselves and from someone else, the more true to ourselves we can be. And the more we feel this, the more shy, claustrophobic, anxious, just reserved and closed we feel, right? And so we receive this from other people, but we can also receive this from ourselves. And we can also receive this from ourselves, which is past conditioning. And the same with this. We can also receive this from ourselves, right? And based on what emotions or actions we have stored in our psychology, we have a set of things that we disapprove of within ourselves. Disapprove, such as maybe I like this TV show, or I like this hobby, or I feel this way about this person. I feel angry about this person. I disapprove of anger. I feel like I love this person. I disapprove of love because maybe I've been hurt before, right? So we have all of these things we disapprove of, maybe millions, right? And we have all of these things we approve of, maybe millions as well. Approve. We have all of these things. Maybe you approve of Like right now, I'm proving of myself of making a video and speaking to you guys. Maybe someone that's scared to go on stage would disapprove of that, right? And so there's layers to it, and there's levels, and the more depth you go in here, the more aligned to yourself you are. If you approve of all of yourself, you will act completely freely to, if you like something, you'll say it. If you don't like something, you'll say it, or you'll act in accordance to that. You're going to be free like a child without, like if a child had never had any experiences ever, like a baby, he just acts, right? There is no thought or restriction behind it. But the difference is, as an adult, you also have wisdom in learning from everything you've done. So you have a lot. It comes from a lot more of a grounded place rather than a chaotic place, a lot more of an organized place where you understand the world, how other people will react, all of this, versus when you're a little baby. But when you're a baby or a kid, you're still in this, and it feels fucking amazing, right? You see colors brightly, you do all this, and of course, as an adult, you can feel this way as well. If you have approval, if you either work on accepting yourself, or you fall in love with a partner. This is why it feels so amazing, because when you're in love, you feel like all of you is approved, and colors get brighter, all of this. You feel so much more connected to yourself when you're around your partner because of that dynamic. Your partner enables you, opens you up, right? This is depression. The more depression, anxiety, shame, guilt, the more we're disapproving of ourselves, the more shut down we are, and the more claustrophobic we feel, the less good we feel, right? The more shy, the more anxious, the less we know how to act, the more self-conscious we feel. So we all seek this, and this fucking hurts. So now, but the cool thing is once you have an action, let's say you've been disapproved of your whole life. In school, you weren't good enough. You got C's, your parents yelled at you, your teachers yelled at you. So now you have this relationship to yourself that goes in the disapproval category, right? You're like, okay, I'm not smart, let's just say. I'm not smart. This is like the belief underneath it due to all of those experiences. So maybe you hold the emotion of shame because you were shamed. So there's an emotion attached to this. So I'm not smart. And why? What do you feel? What underneath the thought? What is the feeling? You feel shame every time you do something. You feel insignificance. Maybe insignificance. This is another feeling. Insignificance. And this feeling is so fucking painful when you speak out. So now this branches out. Maybe when you speak out. Or maybe when you apply yourself to something. So like when you pursue a goal. Now, and you feel insignificant when you do this based on your past conditioning. Because you have this thought, I am not smart, right? So you have all of these links to this. Maybe another one. When you speak out, you don't speak out. When you pursue a goal, and then let's just say attract a partner. So when you go up to a partner, you feel insignificance, right? And you close up. So you don't want to feel insignificant when you attract a partner, so you don't even go for it. So now all of these activities in your everyday life are linked to this based on your past experiences. So that means if you're at work and you have a good idea, you want to speak out, you'll close up because subconsciously you're like, oh, I want to avoid this feeling of insignificance or shame. I want to avoid these feelings. So I'm not going to do this because this has a risk of this, or I'm going to probably feel this way. I'm not going to pursue goals because maybe I'm going to feel this way. I'm not going to attract a partner because maybe I'm going to feel this way. And so this closes us up because of maybe our teachers and parents yelling at us, right? Or something like this, or a role model talking down when we were a kid. Something like this. So now, how can we shift this? How can we shift this to approve of ourselves and not be defined by our past experiences? So we shift it. How do we shift it into this? Right? This. How do we shift I'm not smart to I'm smart, or I am capable. I feel like that's a better one. I am capable. Because smart is kind of like subjective, like, right? I am smart, or I feel like I am capable is a lot more. I don't know, just intuitively, right? So how do we shift this belief? The way this belief is shifted is through doing one of these activities. Speaking out, pursuing a goal, and allowing us to feel this insignificance, allowing ourselves to feel this insignificance, because this is what we truly want to do. We're at work, we have a good idea, we want to speak out, but we don't because we want to avoid this. So we do it anyways, and we feel insignificant in that moment, whether or not we are or not, because it's from the past, right? So we allow ourselves to feel this. So that's step one. Step one is you identify that you're avoiding this. Step two is you allow yourself to feel it. And then step three, something beautiful happens when you go in this process. If you do this, you're going to eventually, and probably in the very first moment you do it, be met with love and not and acceptance, and not this feeling, right? So you're going to feel insignificant, but because you really want to do it, and there's an intuition we have that if we want to speak out, there's probably something valuable we have to say. If you want to pursue a goal, you'll probably be good at it because it interests you and because it fascinates you, and there's something for you to learn there. So there's a level of talent you will have for it because it naturally intrigues you. If you want to attract a partner, there's something there for you. You feel like you wouldn't feel attracted to someone just like hopelessly. You know what I mean? Maybe that's not the right way to say it, but there's always something there, right? And there's always a reason we feel a certain way, a reason we feel compelled to do something. I'm not saying always it comes from a positive place, but there is usually a link to something positive within a desire, or sometimes, okay? And so what happens is when we allow ourselves to feel this, a lot of the time we're actually going to be met with love or acceptance or validation or approval. And so we're met with this, right? This insignificance is now met with love. Now, in order to shield ourselves and to protect our past opinions and experiences, we might just stick to this. We might ignore this that is being given to us. So let's say we're at a office meeting, right? We have a good idea and we actually speak out and we feel insignificant, but our boss is like, oh, actually good idea, right? Oh, wow, we'll actually use that, right? Or it's like, oh, thank you for contributing. You know, let's say this is the response. You might still think, oh, they're just saying that. Oh, he's just lying. Oh, he's just being nice. You might not believe this, but it's there, right? It's there. This will happen. I guarantee this will happen, right? This will happen when the time is right. But you might not know it's there. You might not notice it. You might think they're even mocking you or being mean, all because this emotion is there to keep you safe, right? Now, but what happens? What happens? So you have some of these experiences. You've opened yourself up. This is a vulnerable thing you're doing. Speaking out your mind. What's inside of you? What's on your mind? You're speaking out. You're pursuing a goal. You're maybe trying to be a good, tennis player, right? And you pursue it, and you still feel insignificant. You actually get really good at the game. Let's say you do tennis, but you still feel insignificant. So it still doesn't hit you that you actually got good at tennis, but you allow yourself to pursue it, and you allow yourself to feel insignificant. And you're met with love. You're playing tennis, and you win, and you get applause. Wow, man, you beat me. Maybe you'll think, oh, that guy sucked, or oh, he's just saying that, or oh, I just got lucky. Again, all of these thoughts to defend this feeling, but you will be met with this, right? You will be met with this, whether you can see it or not. And so what happens? How do we let it sink in? By the way, once it sinks in, it becomes this. This is dissolved. This is dissolved in love. This is dissolved in acceptance. The insignificance is dissolved. And so, how do we allow that to happen? Well, we just continue to allow ourselves to feel this. And we feel it openly. So we feel it openly. Feel it. We relax into this. We allow ourselves to feel the most insignificant in the world. You just meditate on it. You sit with it. You just feel it. It's there. You notice it when it comes up. You become friends with this, right? You stop trying to run away from it. You allow yourself to feel insignificant. You're brave. It feels scary to feel insignificant. You feel like maybe you'll be humiliated. Maybe other people won't value you. You're putting yourself out there. You'll get hurt. All of this stuff. But nonetheless, you allow yourself to feel it. And what will happen? As you allow yourself to feel this, that is giving it attention. So you are giving it attention. Have you ever seen a little kid and he's like, Mom, I want attention? Or he won't say it like as straight as that, but he'll like make a ruckus because he wants attention, or he'll start crying because he wants attention. And I actually saw this really cool Instagram video of this mother teaching their kids when they want attention to just say, hey, Mom, I need attention, right? So kids want attention. This is a positive emotion, attention. This is love. Giving something attention. Imagine that, giving your insignificance attention. It's giving it love. That's giving it love. Giving it attention, being with it, is giving it love. Allowing it to exist is giving it love. Imagine you have a little kid and he's crying for your attention and you just ignore him. He's going to get sadder and sadder and more upset because he has a need. That little kid has a need. He needs attention. He needs to feel loved. He needs to feel like he's worthy, you know? And so attention is love. So you give your insignificance attention. You stop shunning it. You stop ignoring it. You stop running away from it. You give this insignificance love. You yourself, right? And as you feel it, as you give it attention, as you allow it to exist, slowly but surely, it will dissolve. Even if it feels like it's getting stronger and stronger, that's actually an indicator that you're doing well, because instead of shoving it away, you're allowing the numbness of in your avoidance of the insignificance to fade away. And so actually the stronger the emotion gets, the more free you are, and the more free it is, and the more loved it is, and the less you're affected by it. So the stronger you feel something often means it's actually has a less of a hold on you, oddly enough, right? When something is very numb and distant, it's probably the strongest, actually, and it has the most influence over you subconsciously. So, anyways, you give it all the attention it needs. You're with it. It hurts, it's painful, it's scary, maybe it brings up other things like shame and anxiety and fear and all of this other stuff, right? It starts to bring up stuff. This insignificance is also tied to other things. Maybe it brings up memories and hopelessness, and it can bring up a lot of stuff, right? If it's a big one. But you stick with it. You allow all these other things that are linked to it. You feel those too as they come up, and then this will probably come back, and it'll feel a little different every time. And there's all of these other things linked to your insignificance. If this is an emotion you feel, and it can be anyone. And as you feel this, you're going to start to notice there's a map internally. You're like, oh, okay. Oh, it's linked to this event. It's linked to that event. And you don't need to keep a mental map of this. This is all already inside of you, and it'll unravel on its own accord. You don't need to do anything. The only thing you need to do is to give this attention, and whatever comes up, attention. And it'll all make sense. All these things that are tied, oh yeah, that makes sense. As things will start to come to you, you'll start to understand things just by giving it love and attention. Right? And then, eventually, it'll heighten and get really, really uncomfortable. And then it'll release, it'll transform, and this will no longer exist because it will be loved. It received what we are looking for. We are looking for these things. These things make us feel amazing inside, free and unstoppable and invincible and confident and courageous and charismatic and creative. But we can only get these if we are being true to ourselves. Right? And they transform us. Love is transformative. Now, what if, instead of this whole model of this is what's actually happening inside of you, you're like, okay, this is the other thing that can happen, right? So this, we just talked about transforming this. Once this is transformed, you will no longer have this thought. This thought will not exist. This thought will not exist. This thought instead will exist. You will feel safe and loved, and you will realize, oh, I actually, my past experience has no hold over me. I can speak out. I can pursue a goal. I can attract a partner. All the things that this was preventing, well, it won't be there anymore. So you won't feel any anxiety or pressure or avoidance or shame or insignificance towards any of those. But now what happens? What happens if we're fake? Okay, what happens if we're fake? So, what is being fake? So, again, we have this insignificance, right? We have this insignificance. Okay? And we have an idea. We have an idea that we want to present to our boss again. But, and this is vulnerable because this is an idea that we hold close to our like souls, or we hold close to ourselves. This is like a really vulnerable idea because we actually believe in it. We believe in this idea. So, and it's true to us. So what if, instead of sharing this idea that we actually think will work, and we actually really want to share, to keep ourselves safe from this insignificance, we're like, no, we won't share this idea. This is, maybe we're really, really shy to share this one. Instead of that, we're not going to share that idea. We're going to share this other idea that we heard in this book will work, and we're completely detached from it. We don't actually like this idea. There's no heart in it, but we think it'll work, and we think it'll get us validation. So this is not our idea. We don't care about it. It's not something important to us. It's maybe just something we, a friend told us would work to get approval from people. And let's say Instead of sharing an idea, actually, we just congratulate our boss. We're like, so instead of sharing an idea that might be rejected, might be accepted, we have this other idea to get praise. And so we let's just say we work overtime. You know what? Instead of an idea, we work overtime. Right? And we don't actually want to do this. We don't care to do this. We don't care to impress our boss. We fucking hate our job, but we work overtime. Okay? Because we think we should. And we think this will give us validation. And lo and behold, our boss is like, good job, man. Good job. You worked overtime. Right? Maybe it'll feel a little good, but if this is not true to yourself and you hate your job, and the validation won't really hit. Because if your boss says, hey, thank you for working so much, like, yes, there is an element of like praise and like he sees that you're putting in work, right? So that's nice. So if your boss says, good job. But if it's not something we really believe in, or let's go back to the idea thing. Let's say you say an idea that you absolutely don't agree with. So let's say you think you should get an hour extra in lunchtime because you think you'll work more productively. But instead of saying, hey, I think we should get an hour more in lunchtime, you say what the boss would like to hear. And it's like, hey, we should actually get half an hour less in lunchtime to increase productivity. And you just say this because you know your boss will like it. It's like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. He says that same approval. It won't hit because it's not actually you. This is the mask you put on to get approval. You're still getting this, right? You're still getting validation, acceptance, approval, love, but it's not you. Now, let's say you talk to a hot girl and you tell her a false compliment. You don't give a fuck about, like, her dress, but you're like, hey, nice dress, because you heard this line would work. Or you tell her, hey, she tells you, I watched this movie, I love it, and you're like, oh, I also love this movie, when you actually don't care about the movie. There's, like, you don't want to talk about it. There's nothing there for you. So you say, oh, nice movie. And then she's like, oh, I have so much fun spending time with you. Is that going to hit? No, because you're still not being yourself. You're not being yourself. And so you're putting on this fake act, and it's stressful. Right? Stressful act that is not it's not effortless. You're putting on this act of approving of what she is and doing, maybe wearing clothes that are uncomfortable for you and you don't like yourself, and not sharing any of your hobbies, or not sharing the things you actually want to tell her about, but only talking about maybe having like stories you have planned, or whatever act you may be putting on. You're not doing what you actually want. You're not telling her about who you actually are. You're not telling her about what you actually care about. You have a persona. So this is what happens. This is you. This is who you actually are, what you actually like. This is true to you. It's just natural and effortless. Just like when you eat an orange, you either like it or you want to fucking spit it out because it's bitter and you don't like the taste. And that happens naturally. Or you drink a sip of coffee and either the bitterness makes your eyes squirm and twitch and like you make a sour face, or you love the bitterness and you're in heaven and bliss, right? This is natural. There's no mental, planned thing. It just happens. And this is an act we do to gain approval. This is not us. This takes effort. Effortless. Who we are. What we actually think. And then effort. Song and dance. Song and dance act. And this is what we do to keep ourselves safe from disapproval, because if we get rejected on this, well, we're not being honest with who we are. If we say we like red, but we actually like blue, and we're like it, and someone's like, "Oh, you like red?" Well, they're not actually attacking us, right? It's like, you don't care if you get disapproved on liking red because you don't actually like red. If you say, "Oh yeah, I like football," when you actually don't give a fuck about football, and then someone's like, "Oh, you like football?" You're like, well, that doesn't actually hit you. You're protected here. This is a protection, right? But the problem with this is if you get your validation, they're also not validating you. This will barely hit. This will not hit. This won't do anything because you're not being you. You're being someone else. You're being fake. You're being someone that you don't care about. You're sharing things you don't care about. So if you get validation for this fake persona, it'll only distance you from yourself. Oh, fuck no, man. This hurts. It'll distance you. You get validation for this, they will be reinforcing the fact that you are not enough. This is better, right? And so maybe you learned that doing the stupid thing will get you validation, and that validation feels good than no validation. So let's say you hate eating just like gross foods, right? Like eating a cockroach off the ground. Some people like that, some people it's a thrill. But here, you're the class clown, or you're the funny guy, and people laugh. So you'll eat the cockroach off the ground, and you'll get rewarded for it. You'll get acceptance. This is something we all look for, acceptance. And so what it'll do is it'll distance you from yourself. Oh no, man. Oh no. Oh no. And what we saw at the start, this validation, love, acceptance, approval, what we all need, what we all look for. This is something so vital to ourselves. This helps transform ourselves. We no longer receive it. Even when we receive it, we don't receive it, right? Because you're not showing who you are. This is ballsy. This is cowardly, right? Now, I say that we all are this sometimes. Everyone has this because of subconscious patterns. So it's cowardly if you do it consciously, but it also makes sense because of a lot of pain and disapproval. Like, the more of this we've had, the harder it is. The more disapproval we've had, the more distance again we have. And the more distance we have, the harder it is to be ourselves. The more dangerous it is, because we've learned that being ourselves is dangerous, right? When we get disapproved of, because it hurts. And disapproval literally means exile in like tribal society. So I said cowardly, but it's not. That's actually not accurate. This shield comes from a real place. This comes from a real place. These all come from a real place. And this is conditioning. And so how do we uncondition this? The way I explained at the start. We allow ourselves to feel this. We give ourselves love in the places that we've been avoiding. And we learn, we actually don't need this. This was built for no reason at all. I mean, It was built for a reason, but we can let go of it now. And this is how we let this in to make us feel invincible. And this is also the way we can handle it ourselves, and we don't need outside reinforcement. Outside reinforcement really helps. And you can get a controlled intake of this with therapy, right? That's why therapy is fucking incredible for everyone, because we all have things that we need to love. We all have things that we're scared of. We all have things that we don't think are okay within us. So that is like the point of therapy, coaching, stuff like this. We all are looking for more of this to get back to this and away from this. And this feels euphoric, divine, incredible. In here we have our power. Here life gets very painful, and there's a lot of suffering, there's a lot of effort. We get very disconnected from ourselves. So validation, acceptance, approval, and love, we are all looking for these things in our life. We're all looking to be more here, right? And the way, and so to wrap up the point, I just wanted to say that if we receive validation for this, it's a completely different feeling than receiving validation for this. Oh, man, I'm looking at the camera while drawing. All right, it's a completely different feeling. When you receive validation for this, especially in an area that has a lot of pain, when you receive love, validation, for this, let's put the barrier here, it melts away the barrier. This thing, this emotion, which was like, I don't know, let's just say guilt, right? We feel guilty for acting a certain way. We feel guilty, for instance, for, I don't know, standing up for ourselves, or for not sharing, right? Something like this. Guilt. We feel guilty for eating food, or we feel guilty for not finishing all the food on our plate, so just guilt. But we get validation and love. We don't finish the food on our plate, but we're like, it's okay. You're not hungry anymore. You can be not hungry, and you can honor the fact that you're full. You can eat just what you want. You feel guilty for not sharing? No, it's okay. You can enjoy the thing you deserve to enjoy. It's yours. You don't have to share everything. Stuff like this. So we get validation and love for acting in the way we actually want. We're not hungry, so we stop eating. We don't want to share, so we don't share. And then we get validation for that. You didn't share, good job. I like that you only share when you really feel like you want to, so that you're honoring yourself. Someone tells you that, bam, all of a sudden, you don't feel this guilt anymore. This guilt goes away. And this feels euphoric, because now there's less of a barrier preventing us from being ourselves. And in full self-acceptance, yeah, that's just another level. That's what we're all aiming for. Anyways, I shot this video pretty late. I hope it was insightful and helpful. Yeah, I just wanted to film a video. Sean over and out. I hope you enjoyed. Peace.